Okay, my name is Skagen. I'm from Vesterålen in northern Norway, which is a group of islands close to Lofoten. I was born in Vesterålen and I returned there when I was in my late 20s because I wanted to work in some sense of isolation. I wanted quiet to be able to develop my work. Initially I was doing painting, but around 12 years ago I started a series of drawings that's been going on for quite a while. The drawings are kind of a meditation. When I learned to meditate, I discovered that in fact I was meditating while I was drawing. I use a ruler and a fountain pen and do these repetitive actions on paper that become kind of peculiar drawings. I call them sometimes linear fields because I use these straight lines. They are kind of void of the gestural action you might expect in art. Sometimes I use perspective, but my main focus is trying to make something that kind of transcends what you would expect from a drawing. They are kind of synthetic as opposed to natural. So that's what I've been doing in Vesterålen the last 12 years. I've been working together with my partner Ragnhild Holten. She paints and I draw, and we got this old house in Vesterålen that we've been fixing up for several years. We have 2 studios there and our home, where we meet people who are interested in art. We have open studios and try to interact directly with people through this property. It is a kind of an independent way of making art. We're not that closely connected to the big institutions in Norway. We try to build our own way of thinking and working in Vesterålen. And we really enjoy being close to nature as opposed to being close to society. So my work is divided in 2. I have the synthetics, which are the drawings based on the straight line, which I feel is a very human thing, the straight line. It's not something you find in nature. But then also I have what I call the naturals, which are sculpture work. I do a lot of walks in Vesterålen, and sometimes I always have a small saw and a knife in my pocket, and I harvest branches of spruce that I take home, and because I'm a stick collector. I collect sticks and then I put them together in different configurations. And that work is quite a contrast to the drawings. Usually my work day is I wake up quite early and I make myself coffee, and then I get to work. I start drawing quite immediately. And then when later in the day after lunch I usually take a walk. It's just like 300 or 400 meters away. I am in the middle of nature, and I really enjoy that feeling that to walk out of society and be in nature. It's very important to me. I tend not to be able to work when I travel to big cities because of all the impulses everywhere. I need that as well. You know, I need to go to cities and have the impulses. But I'm at my most productive in kind of a vacuum, which one might find strange because you. But it's kind of, you know, inspiration is for me an inner process. It's not something that I can achieve when you have all the impulses of society close. So I got the residency. I think I got a letter in maybe it was in February or March 2019. And since then, I've been racking my brain. What am I going to do in Ireland? The thought was that okay, I'm gonna ship a show from northern Norway to Ireland. I'm going to ship my drawings there, so at least have something to show. I had all these ideas, but the main thing I wanted to do here, which was in my proposal, is that I wanted to walk. And that's what I've been doing here. It's been more of a reflective residency as opposed to a productive residency. It's been really interesting for me to have a distance to my normal mode of working, to try to discover new modes of thinking by being in a place that's kind of alien to me. But what I discovered here is that it is very similar to Vesterålen. The language is different, the architecture is different, but there's something here that is very similar. We have you have all the fields, you have the sheep, you have the connection to the ocean. But what I really enjoyed is the sense of space that we don't have in Vesterålen, because you have the mountains and you have a little strip of land and then you have the ocean. Here you have the broad fields and all these rock fences which fascinate me. I really enjoy these ancient traces of labor. I find that fascinating to look at. You imagine all the toil that's been going on to establish the farms around here. It's been very, very fascinating to see, and also the houses. In Ireland you have these rock houses, and I've seen quite a few houses that where the trees have been growing inside. The way nature takes back these old rock houses is really fascinating. I got this instant feeling of being at home here in Ireland. And also to meet fellow artists has been really inspiring. It has given me a new perspective on my position in the world in northern Norway, and I feel it has opened up future opportunities to perhaps make collaborations of some sort in the future. It's been kind of an icebreaker to be here at Artlink in the residency. It's been good. I've been working in isolation for quite a long time, and it's been a wonderful feeling to see that the things that I've been occupied with, concepts and ideas, are something that I'm not alone with thinking about. There's a sense of that these ideas that artists around the world are kind of struggling with the same ideas. That also applies to cultural politics. We have the same challenges in Norway as you have in Ireland. And it's kind of comforting to know that we have the same problems and perhaps also the same solutions. I'm not sure. Well, so I've met colleagues I met Frank, who's a photographer. It was really interesting for me to see a completely different perspective on working with art from what I'm doing. It was quite inspiring. Frank was, during his residency, he was photographing swans. I kind of got envious of him because it was so interesting to see that he had something concrete, something that's present in the world that he was studying, which is kind of a contrast to what I'm doing, which is kind of hermetic, kind of synthetic. And that was very fascinating to see also the passion that he had to go out and explore with photography. He also had connections, his family had connections to Ireland, which was quite fascinating. I know Ragnhild, my partner, she has connections to Scotland. Her family is originally from there, and I kind of wish I had some Irish connection, but I really don't know. I think, as far as I know, my family has been in northern Norway for generations. But what struck me is the similarity between Ireland and northern Norway. So it's been a real learning experience to be in Ireland, to see a very different culture, but at the same time, Ireland has many parallels to Vesterålen. We went to Tim and Ross' studio in Balla, which was really interesting because it was such a close parallel to what me and my partner Ragnhild is doing in Vesterålen. They had this beautiful place in Balla overlooking the landscape in the area. They had an old house and separate studios, very similar to how we operate, but they have been working for slightly longer. I think, and that was inspiring to see that this is a productive way to work, to do one's own thing in one's home is very natural to me, and Tim and Ross were doing that very successfully. It seems. She makes these big pastels. Ragnhild, my partner, makes these big paintings, and he was making these small, delicate prints. It was very similar to how we operate in Vesterålen. Yes. I started researching the area around Buncrana this spring. And immediately it struck me the similarity between Donegal and or the area around Buncrana and Vesterålen, because you have a road, and then you have some farms on each side of the road, and a few houses scattered about the place, and that's the same thing we have in Vesterålen. I was fortunate enough to find a house I could live in right halfway from Buncrana to Fort Dunree. So I had 5 kilometers to walk to the fort, and I had 5 kilometers to walk to Buncrana. And at the same time, I have a beautiful beach just a kilometer or so from the house, and it was a perfect placement for me. But as I said, it's been very productive for me to have a distance from my normal mode of working. I've not been able to make drawings while I was here. I've only kind of made an assessment of where I am in my progression as an artist, and I'm really interested in to see what happens when I get home. Has this residency changed me somehow? I don't know at this point. I think it has.